Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our third installment of Hymnsing Wednesday. I'm glad that you've joined us today, and the first hymn we have is the answer to last week's trivia question. Last week's question was, we know God by many different names, but we also know God by the name Andy. Name the hymn that tells us God's name is Andy. Well, the first person to answer that question correctly was David Nagelkirk. And his answer was today's first hymn, In the Garden, composed. Our next hymn comes to us from composer Samuel Wesley. Written in 1861 during America's Civil War, it was a similar dark time as we are facing now. We look for a clear path, we look for our faith, and we look for God to guide us. Our next hymn helps us with that. Lead me, Lord. Our next hymn is very familiar to everyone. It is probably, well, it actually is the #1 most popular hymn in the world. This arrangement is by Jack Schrader and is a performance of the chancel choir from earlier in the spring. We haven't seen the choir in a while, so I thought you might enjoy hearing them again, singing Amazing Grace.
Oh.
next hymn is actually a video from last week's Maundy-Thursday service. The piece, The Gift of Love, is played here by Lynn Sandifer Gardner on piano and Jennifer Miller on violin. They each performed their parts separately, and then I combined them together to create this single duet performance. I hope you enjoy The Gift of Love. As I revealed earlier in the program, David Nagelkirk was the first person to answer last week's trivia question correctly. So this week, he has a trivia question for you. He is going to give you many different clues in his story, and I hope you can figure out which hymn he's talking about. And once again, the first one to contact me with the correct answer gets to choose and record next week's trivia question. Here it is.
Hello, First Methodist. I have your hymn trivia for this week. Okay. In the bottom corner of every page of your hymn book, there's a hymn tune. It's usually this crazy word that no one can read, and we're like, well, what is that? And as a kid, I was super confused. Well, one day I finally just asked my dad, and I said, what does this mean? And he said, oh, well, that's Dia de Mata. And I was like, crickets. So I was like, well, that helps me not. What does that mean? What is that? And he's like, oh, well, that's Latin for teeth. Again, crickets. And then I said, well, what does that have to do with this hymn? And he's like, oh, well, didn't you know? This is the dentist's hymn.
We thank you for watching this week and hope you have enjoyed this brief little respite of hymn singing during the week. And we hope you will join us on Sunday morning at 10:30 for our worship service and for our hymn sing next Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Until then, have a good week.